Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV, More Than Meets the Third Eye. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So as you're coming in, this is a members-only broadcast. Okay, so please be sure to like it. Please get the likes up. We can't share it, but please get those likes up. All right. Hello, Kathy B. Alice. All right. Silent D in the house. I know Mr. Hotel is here, Pearly. Okay. Let's get into it. Gina, Claudette, Jonah is here. All right. So shout out to everyone tuned in. Let's get ready to get into it. Hey, Ocean Soul. All right. So Desmond is here. Okay. So for those of you, hey, Juju B, beloved. For those of you whose emails I have, I sent you the links. And if I did not send you the link, that's likely because I don't have your email. So please send me an email with your, telling me your name on YouTube or on this channel or whatever. Hey, Tia. And so I can send you your notifications if YouTube, just in case if they don't send them out. Okay, so that all being said, let's get to it. Stardusters. Gina Lane is in the house. Deronda. Okay, Nessie X, I see you, beloved. All right, so y'all forgive my tardiness. Y'all know the queen's always late. This time it was my own fault. Okay, Mr. Hotel. Y'all know this time it was actually my fault. Let me see here. Mr. Hotel, if you don't sit down somewhere. Y'all, let me just tell you, I'm not going to say what it was, but Mr. Hotel is out here sending the queen fake news. Mr. Hotel, you better be so glad that I didn't have time to post it. Thank God I was in a rush to get this broadcast started because otherwise I would have posted that crap. Claudette said your laugh is contagious. Thank you, beloved. I'm just going to tell y'all what it is. Mr. Hotel might get mad, but Mr. Hotel and I were having a conversation. He's talking about child. Me and Mr. Hotel were talking as I was getting my PowerPoint ready. And then Mr. Hotel said, oh, Al Pacino just died. Lord, I was all sad and depressed. Y'all know I love me some Al Pacino. And I was like, oh my God, now I got to do a TikTok about it and do a tribute in the morning. And all this and I was getting it all lined up. And I was going to make a post about it. And I was like, dang, I don't have time. I got to get my broadcast ready. So thank God. Kathy B said, not fake news. Yes. See how lies get out? So luckily for me that I was trying to get this broadcast out. Otherwise, I would have probably posted that mess, honey, on my Twitter or something. Shame of it all. Shame of it all. So anyway, Saturday said, Miss Hotel, you so wrong. Okay, so anyway, let's get started. So today, Miss Hotel said, child, it was fake news. You know how they have these lies about celebrity deaths. So we have to always double check that stuff because just about a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if I told you all, but they had said something about Bruce Willis was dead. They said something about Bruce Willis was dead. And so I'm digging, on Google, looking for the articles. No, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. He didn't say he was dead. Remember, I did tell you all about it. Arnold Schwarzenegger said, oh, he's going to be somebody missed and everybody, loves the way he was. And I'm like, is he dead? Because that's how it sounded. But come to find out, he just had some type of illness. He's talking like the man's already gone. I absolutely cannot, honey. You're going to have to start making sure to double check when you hear these things about celebrity deaths. Remember, it was Angela Bassett's son who lied and said somebody was dead. Michael B. Jordan. Y'all remember that? Oh, they play too much. They absolutely play too much. Yes, I remember that. They also killed off Jamie Foxx. Yes, this is what they do. People think these things are funny and think it's a joke, but in reality, you can manifest things. They need to stop playing like that. It's not funny or cute. Right. And so they said so much of it going around. Absolutely. Claudette said, you remember. Yes. People are a hot mess. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about 5 commonly misunderstood spiritual teachings. Okay? 5 commonly misunderstood spiritual teachings. And then I have a couple of video clips that I want you all to see. So with that all being said, let's get into it. And tomorrow, we're going to be talking about alchemy. Okay? And you all know the word alchemy comes from Kemet, from Egypt. Kemet, alchemy, chemistry, those words come from the word Kemet. Pay attention. See, this is why everybody loves to try to claim that they are the real ancient Egyptians. Because they know the ancient Egyptians, i.e. Cometians, discovered all sorts of things. They were the greatest mathematicians, scientists, astrologers, numerologists, and all of those things, biologists. They knew all of these things, chemists and everything. They knew about all of the sciences and all of that stuff. And they had very advanced teachings for ancient times. And some of that stuff is still used today. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this PowerPoint. All right, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you kindly. Let me put my little thing up on the screen. Let me put my little banner up on the screen. There we go. All right, here we go. Buckle your seatbelts. All right. 5 commonly misunderstood spiritual teachings. Now, the journey of awakening is an ever-evolving process that really never stops unfolding. And because it is an ongoing process and we are always changing and rising in consciousness, well, at least some of us actually lower our consciousness with the types of things that we engage in and the types of people that we place ourselves around. But those of us who are trying to better ourselves, we usually tend to rise in our consciousness. And so does our perspective of our journey. You have to grow from the inside out. None can teach you. None can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul. That's a quote from Swami Vivekananda. Now, for example, we may have read something that resonated with us intensely when we first began our journey, only to revisit it later and feel either confused by it. There's some things that we come across in life, information, and we think we understand it. And then later on, when we come across it again or some different information, now we're confused. And the reason for that often is largely in part is because sometimes information changes. It's not that the information is incorrect, but sometimes in life, they come across new information. And the new information either validates the previous, or it can be, different. It can be something totally different about that information. Doesn't mean that information was wrong necessarily, just a different way of looking at it. Now, which just means the teaching has integrated into wisdom and it's no longer something that can be perceived by us since we have become it. Or we may actually get a clearer understanding of an old truth, so to speak. Now, so in all actuality, the truth as we know it actually changes as we do. And what may have been helpful to us at one point in our process may become something that works against us once we have evolved past that stage. You see, this is why you have to always be changing and willing to evolve. You see, some people, so many people, become complacent. That means stuck in their old mindset, in their old frames of thought, in their own actions and patterns of behavior. And they don't want to change. But sometimes, beloveds, you absolutely have to change, because what once worked for you may not work anymore. And some people aren't willing to step out on faith. They're not willing to put one foot in front of the other and propel themselves forward to do anything different. Because, hey, this is what I've always done. This has always worked. And you say to them, but it isn't going to work now, beloved. You need to do something different. And they said, well, no, I'm going to keep doing this. And, they just get stuck in a rut. You know what it reminds me of? Now, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, it reminds me of the story that I read to you all called Who Moved My Cheese? Remember how him and Haw and then Sniff and Scurry? Remember how him and Haw didn't want to change? They've been so used to just getting up every day and going to get the cheese at the same place. It's block C, and the cheese was always there. And then when the cheese supply started dwindling away, they didn't pay attention, didn't make preparations. And then when it was all gone, and then, they sat there and then one of them, Haw, was saying, well, we got to go in a different direction. We got to go look for more cheese. And he was like, no, this is what we always did. The cheese is going to come back. It'll be here. And it never came. So that's how some people are in their mindset. That's why that story was a good example of that. Some people don't want to change. They're stuck in the same pattern of behavior and hoping that what has always worked will continue to work. But what some people don't realize is everything must change. Nothing, in fact, stays the same. Now, because of this, it is important to revisit our spirituality-based belief systems that may have formed over time to make sure we aren't using something that was meant to be inspiring and guiding as something that we blame ourselves for not getting right, or to feel like we have failed at our own spiritual journey. At the end of the day, as long as you're trying to learn something new, as long as you're always trying to better yourself and you don't just get to a certain level and say, you know what, this is it. I don't need to go any further. I'm already elevated and evolved. This is where I'm going to rest at. Well, remember what I always tell you. There's always room for improvement. We should, in fact, be evolving throughout the entirety of our lives. You can never know too much. You can never know everything. So there's always something you can do, no matter how minuscule it is, to improve yourself. Simply put, the higher one goes in consciousness should be in direct correlation with becoming a more open, expanded, and unconditionally loving person. And remember, I've told you all before, most people don't love unconditionally. Sometimes people tell us they do. They say, oh, I love you unconditionally. No, they don't. They love you with conditions. Most people, you'll be hard pressed to find anyone outside of your parents and children who actually love you unconditionally. All others love you with conditions, under the condition that you love them back, under the condition that you make them happy, under the condition that you make them feel good about themselves, under the condition that you provide something for them. But there's always conditions, 9 times out of 10, with most people who love us. There are 5 commonly misunderstood spiritual teachings that may have veered us down the road of more judgment of ourselves or of our lives rather than the path of complete acceptance and embracing of our innocent nature. Number 1, you create your own reality. The law of attraction is very attractive. It's a very attractive concept. You mean I can just think new thoughts and magically get money, power, relationships when I want? That's what some people literally think. But you attract what you judge until you stop judging what you attract. That's a quote from Matt Kahn. Let me tell you something. I was trying to talk to a young person about a couple of months ago, and I was trying to explain to them the power of manifestation and how we think things and speak things into existence. And so as I'm trying to tell them, they said to me, oh, you don't have to tell me. I already know all about manifestation. And I said, really? They said, yeah, I know all about it. I said, well, tell me what you know. They said, well, I know you can make vision boards and stuff, and you can put it up and you can look at it and put what you want out there, and you can make that stuff happen. You can do whatever you want. All you have to do is just keep thinking about it. And I said, that's all you got to do is keep thinking about it. Like, yeah. So first of all, let me tell you something. That's not all you have to do is keep thinking about it, okay? That's not it, unfortunately for you. At the end of the day, what I told them, because see, what I knew about this person that they probably didn't even know that I knew, because I sit back and watch and observe people. I know that this person has a lot of negativity within their lives. I know that this person is very low vibrational. They get upset easily. They're always one to argue and be contrary. They love to be low vibrational and they deal in chaos, always arguing with their mates, just always into something and get upset very easily. And so I knew this. And so I told them one of the main things about manifestation is this: you don't know everything about it. Because if you did, you would know that your low vibrational state that you're normally in, the way you're always arguing and all of that stuff and being pessimistic, that's never going to attract anything to you but more of that. So the only way that you can manifest things successfully is to be in a positive mindset, to have positive thoughts, to say positive words, and to do positive things, because what you put out into the universe will come right back to you. So how do you expect to manifest positive things and create the positive life that you want when you are so low vibrational and always dealing with negativity and negative people? That's not how manifestation works. It doesn't work at the drop of a dime. You can't just sit there and say, I want this and I'm going to think about it so it comes. That's not how it happens. There's a myriad of things that you have to do. There's little small steps that you have to take, and there's big leaps and bounds that you have to take. And see, if manifestation was as easy as some people think, well, why wouldn't we all be rich? And I told them, if you know everything about manifestation, well, why aren't you living the life that you want? Why don't you have all of the things that your heart desires? Because you don't know everything about manifestation. That's all I'm saying. Okay, pay attention. Now, the law of attraction is a very attractive concept to promote. And they may think, well, you mean I can just think about new thoughts and magically get all of these things? No, not going to happen. However, what many souls who are new to the process, who are new to such topics, what they don't realize is the process of the internal energetic shift that must take place prior to the external shift. You see, something has to move your spirit. Something has to move your soul. Then that's when you say, oh, I want to be a more spiritual person. I want to start learning things about higher levels of consciousness. See, something inside of you tells you that, sets the wheels in motion. And that's usually when you are in a period in your life when you may be going through something that's burdensome. It may be a problem that you're having. You may just realize that your life is not where you want it to be. You're not achieving the goals that you had set for yourself. Your relationship may not be going well. And you say, what am I doing wrong? You know what? I need to get it together. Maybe I need to do things different. I need to get more spiritual. I need to get more in touch with God. I need to have conversations with God. I need to pray more. I need to start learning new things. And then that's when you start figuring things out and trying to learn, and you go on your spiritual path, because something internally happens before the external process begins. Nothing ever goes wrong unless you believe it does. Each situation is here to help us cultivate unconditional love for ourselves, our unwanted emotions, or anything we have previously judged. You see, sometimes even the things that happen in our lives that are not what we want can also be something that can be a blessing in disguise. Sometimes things happen because of divine intervention. The Most High allows things to happen. Sometimes things don't happen for the same reason. Sometimes things don't happen because the Most High doesn't want them to. You see, let me give you an example. Someone could be set to marry someone. They could be engaged, planned out the wedding. They get to the church on the day of, and the other person doesn't show up. The other person doesn't show up, and they're embarrassed because family and friends see that they got stood up. They're upset because all the money that's been wasted on the wedding, the dress, the ring, whatever. And they're depressed, and they're sad, and they're crying. But see, what people really don't tend to think about when things like this happen, how do you know that wasn't a blessing in disguise? Maybe you dodged a bullet. Well, surely you did. You always dodged a bullet. If something like that happens to you, do not shed a tear. Do not feel bad about yourself. There is nothing wrong with you. At the end of the day, you dodged a bullet. Because anybody who would do something like that to somebody, they're not a good person. They don't have a good heart. They're not anyone who has your best interest in mind. They're a person who is selfish, not selfless, and they think only of themselves. And do you really want to spend your life with someone like that? So always know that if things like that happens, you just dodged a bullet. So take it as a blessing, not something bad. Okay? Go out and celebrate. So what the statement "you create your reality" really means is that you create how you perceive your reality, which is the initial step before conscious manifestation can even take place. You create how you perceive your reality. You could look at that situation with someone being left at the altar as something sad and low vibrational, or as something positive, like, hey, you know what? I'm good. They didn't want me, clearly. Why would I want them to marry me if they really didn't want to? That would have been a life of misery. It would have ended in divorce or something worse. So, however you perceive things, that's just the mindset that you have. And some people look at things with a pessimistic mindset, but I was always taught to look at things positively. I was always taught that there is, in fact, a silver lining at the end of each dark cloud. I was always taught that no matter how bad things get, that there's always a way to change. There's always time. Only when you're lying in the grave, then it's too late. But as long as you have breath in your body, it's never too late. Many people are still seeing their life circumstances from a blessing, a punishment, a what did I do wrong to attract such a thing? You know, that's their viewpoint. But what you are actually doing is blaming yourself and your faulty manifesting abilities for something that was actually there to serve you in your evolution of consciousness. And that's what a lot of people do. They have self-doubt. They speak down on themselves. They feel bad and think they did something wrong, when in fact, that's just the way it was supposed to turn out. Nothing ever goes wrong unless you believe it. But each situation is here to help us cultivate our unconditional love for ourselves, our unwanted emotions, or anything we have previously judged. I already said that one. I'm sorry. I put that slide in there again accidentally. Now, this teaching has a lot of truth behind it, but it could never be used as a tool to make ourselves feel worse about something that we not only were destined to experience, but is a gift from the universe, which is attempting to get us to a vibration where we can be in alignment with the things that we dream about, by giving us opportunities to heal and transcend judgments that have been holding us back in frequencies of fear. How many people have things that you want to try or things that you want to do, but out of fear, you never tried it? Out of fear of failure, thinking you wouldn't be successful, thinking people would laugh at you, thinking you'd make a fool of yourself. Fear, false evidence appearing real. That's something you should never worry about. If you have something you want to do, well, the best thing to do is try it. And if you fail, then you can either try again or try something else. But you'll never know how far you can go unless you actually try it. Self-doubt is a hell of a drug. Pay attention. The second thing, let go. Letting go is a term we are inundated with very often on the spiritual path. And for anyone who has attempted to let go of a relationship, an addiction, or any self-defeating behavior, they can tell you it's not that easy. The one who tries to surrender is what's being surrendered. That's a quote by Matt Kahn. The inherent misconception about this statement, let go, is that the one hearing it is actually in charge of the letting go process. And that is where this teaching becomes another tool that we constantly berate ourselves for not being able to do. See, people who try to stop, addictive behaviors and just different things, let go of an abusive or bad relationship, a volatile relationship, whatever. Sometimes they feel they can't do it, and then they start beating up on themselves or talking down on themselves and just feeling, like they can't go on. And, in grief and despair and gloom, Reminds me of the story that I talked about today on the other channel. Remember the story where the guy was in the military and his child's mother was telling him that his life wasn't worth anything. He needed to go ahead and just end it all, and he's never going to see his daughter. What a low vibrational, wicked, evil person. You see, the things that she said to him resonated in his mind, and he believed what she was saying, and it made him feel so desperate and put him in such a state of despair that he didn't even want to live. And you see, the thing is, people like that are weak-minded. And I hate to say it, but it's true. People who go out here and take their lives, their own lives, I'm not talking about kids because kids don't know much better. They haven't lived and experienced life. But for many adults who go out here and do these things to themselves, that's because they're weak-minded. You see, and weak-minded people are easily influenced and manipulated and coerced, and they're persuaded to do things that they normally wouldn't do. And people can control them by manipulating them. And the mother of his child, she knew that. Because I'm going to tell you something. People who are weak-minded, people who are manipulators can spot them from a mile away. And so they take advantage of that and use that against them to their own advantage. In all actuality, we don't let go of anything. Things let go of us when we no longer are at a vibration that resonates with the behavior or the feeling, or that particular feeling, situation, person, has nothing more to teach us. You see, some people are in our lives only for a season. That's why if somebody walks out of your life, let them go. Wish them well. Pack them a bag and a lunch. Okay? Give them bus fare, money for a Lyft or an Uber if you desire. But let them go by all means, because they were not meant to stay. Don't beg them to stay. Don't try to cling on to the hope that things will work themselves out. No, if someone wants to leave, let them go. Do you remember when we were younger, you likely heard that old saying, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. This is true. If someone walks out of your life, let them go. Now, maybe they'll come back later when they've gotten themselves together, but don't try to hold them there against their will. That's not going to turn out well for you nor them. Okay? And that's what a lot of people do. They try to stay married and they say, oh, we did it for the kids. Honey, the kids don't need to be in a household where the parents are arguing, bickering back and forth, or they're unhappy, or they're just always mad. And kids pick up on these things. So you say you're doing it for the kids. That's just a lame excuse. If things are not working out, just part ways. Maybe sometimes you can get back together after things have changed. Sometimes you can't. But at the end of the day, some people are only meant to be in our lives for a season. Some people are meant to come into our lives to teach us something. And once they've taught us the lesson, it's time for them to go on and move forward, and time for you to do the same. Yes, of course, it will feel as though we are the ones making the choices, but energetically complete and utter acceptance of ourselves and whatever we naturally choose to do is the only option. Once our shadow has been loved to death, literally, it will no longer require acting out in order to get our attention. Now, 3, if you're not feeling good, happy, positive all the time, you've done something wrong. The human experience is very much sprinkled with pain and suffering. There's no getting around this. Yes, a negative emotion is trying to show us that there is an unhealed aspect or out of alignment belief system that may be holding us back from happiness. But never think you have done something wrong if you are in pain. Now, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That's a quote from Carl Jung. And if you all remember that name, Carl Jung, I have used his research before. One of my favorite scholars. Now, by simply asking the universe, how is this here to help me? Anytime a painful circumstance or feeling arises, if you just ask the universe, hey, wait a minute, how is this going to help me? Where is this going? We begin to align with faith, which moves us along our journey in a more fulfilling manner. Number 4, don't talk about or think about anything negative, or else you will manifest more of it. Well, I've certainly told you this before. Sitting there talking about how much money you don't have and how you don't have a happy relationship, or how your kids are just so bad and they don't love you, they don't listen. Well, you're saying all the how you hate your job. Well, you hate your job, you're going to continue to hate it. But at the end of the day, when you say these pessimistic things, these talking points, well, you'll manifest more of that, because what you put out, remember, thoughts are electromagnetic energy. And when you think things and speak them, they manifest into existence. So whether you want happiness or negativity, you're going to get it from what you say and think. The Bible says, whatsoever a man thinketh, that so he is. Here is another law of attraction teaching that has gone awry. When we began to understand the energetics behind how life works, we began to see how this teaching can actually take us away from residing in a higher vibration. Now, imagine a child that is told never to talk about its painful feelings, or how he or she felt sick that day, or anything that happens in their life that wasn't exactly what they wanted, or else they would get more of it. The child would begin to feel not only completely dismissed, but also would do anything to distract himself or herself from their pain of fear of for fear of manifesting more of it. Now we have a soul living in the energy of fear of doing or saying the wrong thing all of their life, rather than openly accepting life as it comes. Energetically honesty with ourselves is a much higher vibration than pretending to feel how we don't, or to feel how we don't feel, just so we don't manifest more painful feelings. We're meant to embrace our humanity, be okay with what is of our present moment, and show compassion to ourselves. Things don't always go the way we want. Sometimes you just have to accept the good with the bad. But guess what? Things can always get better. That's the positive thing to remember. This is what cultivates a loving high vibration, completely denying who we are, how we feel, and trying to hide our emotions from ourselves keeps us stuck. Some people want to deny reality and act like things aren't what they are. They want to just gloss over things and act like what's happening isn't really happening. They want to hide their emotions. There's nothing wrong with showing your emotions. It's just not a good thing to allow your emotions to control you. You have to always keep your emotions in check. But not hiding them, because if you hide your emotions, one day you'll just explode. This is why some people just lose it, have what they call a mental break. Back in the day, they called it a nervous breakdown. How many of you remember that? Let me stop the share for a minute. How many of you have ever heard them say, people don't say this now. I haven't heard people say this lately, but how many of you have ever heard somebody say, oh, back in the day, oh, they had a nervous breakdown? You all heard anybody say that before? A nervous breakdown? It's funny because I was thinking about this the other day. I said, man, I remember when I was a kid and my mother and them used to say, oh, so-and-so had a nervous breakdown. They'd be gossiping. And I remember hearing that and wondering, what is a nervous breakdown? You don't hear people say that anymore. Hey, curly girl. Yeah, you don't hear people saying that anymore. But now, it's basically like a mental break when somebody just, they may have an anxiety attack or a panic attack, right? Or they just may get so upset and worried that they can't concentrate and focus. So that's what they were talking about when they would say that thing. Alice said, that's me. Yes, often heard that. Yes, just funny that they don't say that term anymore, really. At least I haven't heard it in the past decade or so. Let me go back to the share. And so the fifth thing, more understanding or knowledge is the key to happiness and fulfillment. Understanding and knowledge. Because here's the thing. If someone's giving you knowledge, but you don't understand it, you can't comprehend it, how is it going to help you? How is it going to help you? You have to be able to comprehend. And if you don't understand, you have to ask questions. Nobody's going to think you're foolish. Nobody's going to think you're slow. At the end of the day, I was always taught that the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask. If you have a question and you don't ask it, then that's what's stupid. Not that you had a question, because we all have questions about a myriad of things. No one knows everything, and no one ever will know everything. Many people spend entire lifetimes in pursuit of devouring more information in the hope that one day they will stumble across the golden rail of knowledge that will give them the fulfillment they truly seek. And while it is not wrong to want to learn about things on the spiritual journey, one must not fool itself that any amount of knowledge will allow them to bypass the healing process that must take place for the awakening to occur. You can't wake up and rise into a higher level of consciousness just because someone's telling you all of these spiritual things. You have to still be doing the work. If you have the information, but you haven't done the work, well, that's just like having an empty shell. Like an empty shell, but there's nothing on the inside. Because you have to heal from the trauma, the pains, the bad things that happen that you don't like to talk about. You have to release those things. If you have something that you can't get out of your head, something that happened to you, you've never spoken about it, you've kept it to yourself, you have to heal from all of that. Past traumas. Some of us even suffer from past life traumas, from different existences that we were in before. And so you have to heal from these things before you can fully spiritually awaken, because that's all part of the process. Awakening is very much an energetic process that involves us facing the deepest and darkest parts of our psyche head on. Knowledge always helps to point us in the right direction and helps with insight, but it can't do the inner work for us. You see, this is what I was telling you all when I was talking about Wig. When Wig was having those webinars, what she was trying to do, the biggest part of her grift and the most dangerous part of it for me was not just that she was taking people's money. That was the small part. The big part was the fact that she was playing with people's minds. She was making people think and believe that they needed her to walk on their spiritual journey, that it was her who was changing their lives, that it was her that was doing the work for them through what she was teaching them. But that's not what it was at all. You see, in a real, legit spiritual journey and a spiritual teacher who's really trying to help you evolve, and they're not doing it based off of how much money you give them, they're doing it because they're authentically trying to help you. They will always let you know that you have to do the work. I can lay out the assignment and I can tell you what you need to do, but you have to do it for yourself. I can't do it for you. I can only guide you along the way. Spiritual teachers are only to guide you, to give you the tools that you need to do the work for yourself. No one can sell you fake debit cards and keys and have webinars ringing bells with garter belts on their heads, playing music by Beyonce and all of this foolishness, talking to you about demons that they claim are angels with red eyes that show up in the middle of the night and scare them. No one can do any of that, and that's going to help you in your spiritual journey. Okay? Was told had a splitted mind, says Alice. So you Deronda's laughing, but I'm being serious. It is kind of funny, but I'm being serious. No one can do these things for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. And at the end of the day, you have these people, some of these pulpit pimps is what I call them, some of these pastors who make you think that you have to come to church every Sunday and you have to give them money. All of your tithings have to be paid, or they're not going to be able to help you so that you can get blessings. Some of them even want you to think that you have to pay for blessings. Last I checked, the Most High wasn't in the habit of collecting monetary compensation for blessings bestowed. All you have to do is be doing the work and trying to better yourself and trying to evolve on your spiritual journey and just trying to be the best version of yourself you can be. And that's something that we should always be working on throughout our lifetime, because we'll never, be the best, okay, that we can be. Because why? Always room for improvement. No matter how good of a person you are, there's always a little something more you can do. Even if it's just a little something, there's always something more you can do. So with that all being said, always remember that. And remember that everything operates off of energy and vibrations and frequencies. And whether you choose to have a low vibrational energy frequency or a high one, that's entirely up to you. And if you allow other people to dictate your mood and to change your energy, then that's your own mistake. You should never allow other people to control you by shifting your energy. They used to say when I was a kid, they used to say, oh, don't stoop to their level. I remember a teacher told me that once because I got into an argument with a girl in class in 10th grade and we were about to fight. And I remember the teacher looked at me, Mr. Oligus, and said, don't do it, Queen. Don't stoop to her level. And, so back then I took that as, okay, and I didn't fight her because I didn't want to, embarrass myself in front of my teacher. I had a lot of respect for him and I didn't want to act ghetto and all that. But I remember thinking back then, my mindset was when they say don't stoop to their level, they mean don't act, low down like they're acting. That is what it means partially. But the main thing about that, not stooping to someone's level, is the fact that when you are on a certain level, and then there's other people or another person who comes and they're being low vibrational, they're trying to bring you down a notch on purpose. And I'm going to tell you why people do that. Some people purposely try to antagonize you, try to talk down on you. Well, some people do it just because they're haters. And it's something about you that they can't stand because they don't have it. It may not be anything material that you possess or own. It could be something about your spirit. Sometimes your spirit aggravates their demons. And so that's why some people do it. But some people do it simply because of the fact that they're not happy with their lives and themselves. Things aren't going the way they want them to go for them. And they see you happy, laughing, smiling, living your best life. And they don't like that. It bothers them so much so that they want to antagonize you. They see you always laughing with your nose in the air, having a good time, walking with your head held high because you're proud of yourself. You're happy with life. And they're not. So they want you to be down on their level. So they want to make you feel bad. They want to talk down on you. Well, if I can't make them feel bad about themselves, I'll just piss them off. I'll just make them mad. So I'm going to say X, Y, and Z. So I know that's going to get under their skin. And then they'll be mad just like I'm mad. They'll be just as miserable. See, that's what it really means. So don't stoop to their level. Rather than stooping to someone's level, try to raise them up to yours. Now, they may not ever raise up to yours, but you can try. At the end of the day, rather than getting mad and stooping to their level, stay high vibrational. Say something positive. I don't know what happened to you, beloved, for you to feel so bad about life, but I really hope you get that fixed. Maybe you should get counseling. Tell them that. I used to feel the same way about life that you do, beloved. I used to be mad and angry all the time and want to make other people feel bad because I was miserable. But now I'm so happy. I don't have time for that. And neither should you. Peace and blessings. Tell them that. You see, one thing that I'm good about doing is when somebody's trying to piss me off, I piss them off even more so because they're already pissed off. That's why they're trying to piss you off. So rather than getting mad because that's what they want, you never give a demon what they want. Because if you do, like a stray cat at your door that you feed, they'll come back for more. They'll learn that every time they want to tick you off, all they got to do is push your buttons. All I got to do is say this. They'll be mad. See, that's why I taught my sons that being a black man in America, somebody may call you the N-word one day. And when people who look like us get called the N-word by someone who doesn't look like us, we have a tendency to get angry and want to fight. And I told them, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because here's the thing. When somebody calls you that, well, what do you think they're doing? They're trying to tick you off. They're trying to make you angry. When somebody who's not black calls you the N-word, they're trying to tick you off. They're trying to get a rise out of you. They want a reaction. And if you give them the reaction they seek, well, that's just what they wanted. And so you fell for it. They baited you. That's what it is. And so now, and then also they're controlling you. When you allow someone to say words out of their mouth that bring forth a certain reaction out of you, they now are in control of you. You're not controlling your own emotions, but you allowed somebody else to. How does that make sense? You couldn't control your own emotions because you got so mad and angry. Now you're going to jail because you know they're going to call the police if you hit them, right? That's the first thing they're going to do. And what's that going to do? Is it going to make you feel good that you knocked them out? Well, you might feel good for a few minutes. But when you get handcuffed and in the back of that car and you're on your way to jail and you got to sit there and wonder about who's going to pick up your kids or how you're going to explain this to your boss that you can't come in or who's going to come bail you out. Now you got something on your record. Now you got to go to court and get an attorney. When you start thinking about all that, you're not going to be feeling too good. I promise you. But meanwhile, the person who antagonized you is going to be smiling because see that hit, well, the sting from that's going to go away. But they're going to be resting easy because they know you're in jail where they wanted you to be all along. Or even worse, if the police show up and shoot you. Like Central Park Karen, when she lied, said, oh, he's attacking me and my dog. Why do you think she was doing that? See, that's how some people think. So when you give them exactly what they want, they're excited. So I have taught my sons when they were growing up, you know, if somebody calls you that word, I didn't tell them like the lady who came on the show, Tammy Charles, about her son who took his life. I don't agree with her when she said she taught him not to be offended by that word. No, I didn't teach my sons not to be offended. Yes, be offended. Absolutely. Because it's meant to be offensive. But what I told them to do is you control the way you react to that word. Somebody says that to you, you don't get mad enough to start fighting them or whatever. If you're mad, and you likely will be, don't let them know it because they want you to be mad. So you say with a smile, well, I might be a ninja, but I heard your mother's a ninja lover. Quite frankly, I could have been your father, but the Rottweiler beat me up the steps. Pay attention. Now, I guarantee you, if you say something like that to one of them, trust me, they will be a whole lot more angry than they thought they'd make you. Okay? Or you can start talking about something else like DNA. What kind of DNA people have and what kind you don't. Just say it. You understand? You could say, well, you know, there's certain people on the planet that have 4% Neanderthal DNA. Now, I'm not one of those people, but scientists and biologists do say, and that's a scientific fact. Me being a ninja, that's just an opinion because quite frankly, that's what they consider an ignorant person. And so, you know, if somebody wants to say I'm ignorant, which I know I'm not, so that's just a matter of opinion. But Neanderthal DNA, well, that's fact. Just say it. That's all you got to do. No need to get mad. You see, when somebody's trying to tick me off, honey, I'm going to make sure you're the one that gets ticked off. You're not going to make me mad, honey. If you try to embarrass me, I'm going to embarrass you. You're not going to embarrass me. You can't embarrass me. Nobody can. I promise you. It's nothing you can say or do to embarrass me, but I can embarrass you. Trust me. So that's how you should be thinking. Don't let somebody dig a hole and then you climb in. Because see, here's the thing. When somebody calls you the N-word or says anything that they know might tick you off, well, they're just trying to dig a hole. They've already dug the hole. All they need you to do now is climb on down in there. Oh, I'm not going to climb in that hole, honey. I'm going to knock you in. That's what I'm going to do. My grandmother used to always say, honey, don't let anybody push you in a dumpster. She said, you can climb in a dumpster by yourself. You don't need anybody to push you in. Okay? So remember that. Queen, that's crazy. Someone called me a ninja and I said, your mom's a ninja. They were shocked. Okay? Please. Tell them their mom's a ninja lover, honey. Miss Hotel said, yep, the dog. Oh, exactly, honey. I could have been your dad, but the Rottweiler beat me up the steps. I told my son to tell him that. Now, I'm going to show you all. That's the conclusion of the PowerPoint. I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm going to show you all a few video clips that I got off of TikTok on spiritual TikTok that I liked. And so just a few clips, and then I'm going to conclude the broadcast because the next broadcast on this channel is going to premiere at I think 5:15. I had to change the time because I was late on this one. So it's going to start at 5:15, I believe. So you got like 15 minutes, like 20 minutes. Okay, let's get into it.
The laws of the universe. The law of attraction, the law of abundance, the law of equivalent exchange. Study your laws, the laws of cause and effect, the karmic cycle. Study your laws. Dwell into your mind, meditate. Understand that you can alter your realms by your train of thought. The minute you slow down your thought, you're able to leave your body through astral projection. You're only enslaved if you can't control your mind. So while you can and while you don't have the whole world against you, or you don't have a lot of worries, worry on freeing your mind from this realm. When you can free your mind from this realm, everything is but a thought. And if you can't free your mind, then you're a slave to this realm.
Now, does anybody know who that young man was in that video? Does anyone know who that was? Once in the chat if you know who that young man was. Once in the chat if you know who that young man was. A lady at work took an orbit for my ex-in-law and said, your kids all have the same last name. And I stood up and said, that's normal, isn't it? She took a what from your ex? But she said your kids all have the same last name. She thought that was strange. Isn't that something? Miss Hotel said XXXTENTACION. Right. So here's what I want to say about him. Orange Moon. Hey, Orange Moon said a rapper. Yes, that was XXXTENTACION. Now, the thing about him is this. I always felt like and still feel and believe there was something much more nefarious and sinister behind his demise. They say it was a robbery and all that stuff. I don't think that's what it was. I don't think that's what it was. I think that it has something to do with a much more sinister plot. First of all, here's the thing. I saw his body when he was dead lying in that car. Now, he was supposed to have been shot, but there was no blood. He was supposed to have been shot, but there was no bullet hole. The car window was shattered, so something clearly came through the window. But where was the blood and the bullet hole? That never made sense to me. And my spirit at the time told me that he was likely shot with one of those guns that stop your heart, with a ice bullet, with the poison on it. And why would they do that? Well, here's what I think. That young man was far ahead of his time. I think he had been here before. I'm sorry, this fan is making my nose run, but I have the AC down and the fan on. But here's the thing. That young man said a lot of really interesting things for someone who was only 20 years old. And in fact, he was saying some of these things before he was 20 years old. But also the fact that he had such a cult following. I never saw anything like it for someone who had just come on the scene, like literally overnight. He had such a cult following. He had various types of people, races and ethnic groups that enjoyed his music. Did any of you all see the reaction to his death? People all over the world loved that young man, different types of people and all of that. And it was really amazing because he had the ability to touch many people. And one thing that he always spoke about was people taking their own lives. He always talked to people about depression because he had been through depression. But he was so wise in how he dealt with it. And he would talk to people like that, almost like a counselor. He not only did it through his music, but he would post these videos and he would be talking, having these whole conversations, telling people stuff. And, then after he passed away and all these people were crying and everything, and some people were saying, oh, he used to beat his girlfriend. He used to do this, used to do that. I'm not saying he was perfect. I'm not saying he was perfect. He was a troubled child, clearly. He was clearly a troubled child because of the relationship with his mother and father, the things that happened when he was growing up. He had been a juvenile, been arrested before and all of that. He clearly had his own issues. We all do. So I don't judge people based on those things very often. But he had something to give the world. He had the ability to touch the hearts and minds of young people. And why is that dangerous? Well, because in a country like the United States, they want, and by they I mean the elite, they want to control the hearts and minds of the youth. And they want to put out certain types of music and videos and propaganda to promote how the youth think. But if you listen to his music, it wasn't the type of music that they want put out. And if you see a video that he did, how many of you saw the video he did called Look at Me Now? One's in the chat. If you all ever saw the video Look at Me Now that he did. A video called Look at Me Now. Anyone ever saw that video? One's in the chat. There was a video that he did. I wish I could show it to you all. But there was a video that he did. And in the beginning of the video, that's the first song of his. Hey, Samantha. That's the first song of his that I ever heard. My son played that song for me. And the video was of him hanging from a tree. It was him and like 2 or 3 other black guys hanging from a tree as though they had been lynched. And then later in the video, you see people rioting, cars burning, like a police car set on fire. You see all this chaos, sort of like what happened during the George Floyd protesting. And it was ironic because all of this video was prior to that. But then at the very end of the video, he talks about the death and murder of Emmett Till. And he's sitting there and he's reading. And he's talking about, these are his own words that he's reading, that he wrote down. And he's talking about how the death of Emmett Till, the murder, how he was lynched, and how his mother had to see her son like that. It was deep. And I thought, this young man is 20 years old. He knows all about Emmett Till, and he understands the gravity of those things that happened back then and understands that they're still happening right now. That's why at the beginning of the video, he was hanging from a tree. But here's the thing that ticked off a lot of people who don't look like us. In one part of the video, at the end of the video, he was at a school, and he had these 2 kids on stage. They were like 6 or 7 years old, a little white boy and a little black boy. And then this rope comes down, a noose comes down from the ceiling. And he walks over to the little white boy and he whispers in his ear. And then he whispers in the ear of the little black kid, and they both nod their heads. So he takes hold of the noose, and you instinctively think, okay, he's about to put the noose around the little black boy's neck. He's obviously simulating a lynching. But the shock of it is, he puts that noose around that little white boy's neck. And he goes over to the where the noose is connected, and he starts hoisting the little white kid up like he's lynching him. And the little kid's feet are kicking. Let me tell you something. That was so deep. Nobody's ever done anything like that before in a movie or on a video. And it was so deep. And many white people didn't like it. They said it was racist. And I thought, that's funny that they say it's racist when it's just a simulation. It's just a video. It didn't happen in real life. But they don't think it's racist when they see that happening to us in real life. When they see that happening to us in all of these slave and Jim Crow movies and civil rights movies. They don't think it's racist there, but they thought it was racist when he did that to that little boy. And the thing is, he did that, I think, to show them how it feels when we see stuff like that. And they didn't like it, and people were very upset. I said all that to say this. It just showed me, when I saw that video, because that's the first time I ever saw XXXTENTACION. I thought his name was crazy, first of all, but I looked it up. It's a Latin name. But when I saw that video, his name is XXXTENTACION, Gina. It's in the chat, beloved. But when I saw that video, the first thing I thought to myself is, who is this young man? Who is this kid? Like, I got to find out more about him. So I started doing research, trying to figure out who he was. And then I started following him on social media and watching everything that he posts. And he was just saying amazing things that were very informative. For somebody so young, it was amazing. And so that's why I got interested in XXXTentacion. He was so far ahead of his time. He absolutely was. And he was somebody. And I want you all to pay attention to this, because this is not a coincidence. When you see someone like him lose their life so young, when you see someone like Tupac lose his life so young, when you see Nipsey Hussle lose his life, those three rappers, they weren't just rappers. They had a message for the world. They had a message for the world, and they all had a cult following. Now, I do believe that XXX had even a bigger following than Tupac and Nipsey, because his following was so diverse. Very far, very in tune spiritually. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, if you don't know anything about him, and here's the thing too, I want to say this. In his last video, see, art often imitates life. In his last video that came out even after he died, it wasn't even released until after he had already died. But in that last video, do you know that he was dead? He was lying in a coffin. In his last video, he was lying in a coffin, and he went to his own funeral in that last video. And there was a demon in one part of the video speaking to him. He was sitting in a rocking chair, I think it was. He was sitting in some kind of chair, and this demon visited him and was trying to tell him something. But then he was in the coffin. He's sitting, he walks into a church. It's a funeral. And you see the coffin at the beginning, at the front of the church. And you don't know who's in there until he walks up to it. And when he looks in the casket, it's him. And I was like, wow, that's his last video before he died. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? So, at the end of the day, I just wanted y'all to see that. But let me continue and play the next video. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share.
Thing in your life is a reflection of your vibration. If you want to change your life, you must first change your vibration. This means paying attention to the thoughts and feelings you are emitting and deliberately choosing thoughts that make you feel good. There is always a path of least resistance.
A path of least resistance.
Surround yourself with good energy. I've really eliminated a lot of people in my life who weren't offering that anymore. And if I ever felt drained hanging out with a certain person, work-related or on a friend level, then I just kind of let it go over time. Like, time is way too precious to be spending it with people that don't make you feel your best.
Absolutely. They say no time waits for no man, so let no man waste his time. Now, this is the last video, and this is off topic for today. This is about alchemy, and that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Probably a master alchemist and don't even know it. Alchemy is simply the act of being able to transmute energy that's being sent to you. So if you catch yourself around a person sending you negative energy and you create something positive out of that, then you're an alchemist. And you most likely have known about this ability but didn't know what to call it. Because you often catch yourself being able to see the positive in situations even when it can be viewed as negative. That is alchemy at its purest form right there. Because it's that optimism that's needed in order to get out of tough situations. You have to be able to see the brighter side within the dark path that you're walking on. And the more you practice transmuting negative energy, the better you will be at defending yourself from spiritual attacks. For people target you because of the unique energy that you emanate from within your body. And they will come within your energy space and try to drain you from your energy. And it's alchemy that's going to allow you to be able to defend yourself in those situations at all times. probably a master.
Oh, sorry. That's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And I have told you all that before. I have told you all that before because energy is contagious. And when someone wants to make you mad, don't let them. You turn it around on them. Make them leave mad, not you. Never let someone control your emotions. And how crazy is it if you can't control your own emotions, but yet you allow someone else to? Make that make sense. Okay? While I do that all the time, there is always something good out of the negative. Absolutely. Exactly. I don't have time to waste my time on the time wasters. Yes. And here's the thing. The people that want to drain you and be so negative and stuff, I've told you about them. Those people are usually psyche vampires. And psyche vampires, let me tell you something. They are the ones, see, they don't do this to everybody. Psyche vampires don't try to drain everybody of energy. There are specific people that they do this to. And the reason they choose these people is because they're full of darkness. And these people that they're trying to drain are full of light. And so they are attracted to that. They're attracted to that person's energy. You know, they're attracted to that energy and they want it for themselves. And that's why they'll call those type of people, always trying to tell them their problems and all of that. They know they're draining them, but it's like a fix for them. It's like a junkie to drugs. It gives them a fix, makes them feel good. And so that's why they do it. You cannot entertain these people. Pearlie said, thank you for this, Queen. You're welcome, beloved. Miss Hotel said, that's right. Okay, so listen. Hello, I am Joy. Okay, Samantha was at work, so she wasn't in the chat very much, but thank you for tuning in, beloved. So listen, I'm going to let you all go. Gina in the house. Okay, I'm going to let you all go, but I want you all to practice your positive affirmations, be reading your ebooks, and following the information that I put in there for you. All of these ebooks are made to help you along your spiritual path. You know, whether it's eating healthy, whether it's teaching you how to transition to a healthier diet, whether it's telling you how to remember to say your positive affirmation, or just reminding you of different things that you can do to enhance your spiritual practices. You need to be reading and studying those ebooks. Okay, I take a lot of time out to put those together, and I do that just for everyone to evolve and have an easier, smoother walk, okay, on your spiritual journey. Sandy says, another great spiritual broadcast. Thank you so much for everything, Queen. Well, you're welcome, beloved. Juju said, love you to life. And I love you right back, beloved. Okay, so with that all being said, everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. I will see you all again tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be talking about alchemy. All right? And shout out to our esoteric philosopher. Thank you, Miss Hotel. I've been using mine, Queen. Okay, thank you, Claudette. So with that all being said, tomorrow is the trivia. We're going to have trivia on here for the members only. The non-members, we're not going to have it for them on this channel. Okay, so with that all being said, and also here's the thing. Tomorrow on the other channel, when I give out those books, I'm only giving out 2. I'm not doing the 4 questions. I might do 4 questions if they miss 2 of the questions and nobody gets the answers. But I'm only going to give out 2 books, I think, tomorrow. Okay, that's right. Miss Hotel said trivia tomorrow. So Juju said, so informative. I try to read minds every day. Thank you, beloved. So with that all been said, I wish you all love, peace, and light. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace. Oh, by the way, I want to have True Royal from the True Royal family. I told her I wanted her to come on my show, and she already said yes. I actually asked her that about 3 weeks ago, and I just haven't gotten around to calling her about it and scheduling. So I'm going to be doing that because we're going to have an exclusive interview this month. I know the month's half gone, honey, but we're going to have one anyway. All right. So I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.